A lot going on in the world of politics this week. And, of course, gearing up for the midterm elections. And it's important for us to elect the right kind of Republican. I mean, that is a big problem we've had with the Republicans, is that we've been electing Republicans in name only. Now, we're on about 7 or 8 radio stations across the great state of Nevada, and we're paying very close attention to the Senate race there. And we are honored to have a guy who is one of those kinds of Republicans, the right kind. He is an Army captain in Afghanistan. He is a war veteran, combat veteran. He is passionate about taking on big tech, and he's got a big problem with the wokeness in the U.S. military. Let's go to the Patriot Mobile Newsmaker line. Honored to have with us Sam Brown. Sam, good to have you with us today.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on here to open up the new year.
Well, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot at stake in Congress. And if the Republicans play their cards right, as Governor Mike Huckabee said in the last segment, we're going to have a Republican-controlled House and Senate. So my question's very simple to you, sir. Why do you want to be the next United States Senator from Nevada?
I want to do this because it's time for the American people and for Nevadans to be represented by someone who actually shares our interests, our concerns, to be a champion for the people, not necessarily a champion for party leadership or special interests or, those things that drive that swamp over there in D.C. That neglects the very real and serious issues that Americans are facing and struggling with.
Sam, you have a decorated career as an Army captain. I want you to briefly tell our listeners your story.
Yeah, so, my career started in some ways immediately after 9/11. In October of 2001, I was accepted to West Point. July 1st of 2002, I started my education and my leadership training at the United States Military Academy, and 4 years later, graduated. When I started, we were at war in Afghanistan. When I graduated, we were at war there and in Iraq. And in 2008, after going through all my infantry training, being Ranger and Airborne qualified, and helping stand up a brigade at Fort Hood, we deployed to Kandahar, Afghanistan. And I think one of the important things that I wish we could see a little bit more of out of our representatives in D.C. is people who are willing to go back and reflect on things that have worked and things that didn't, and instead of staying married to the same policy just for the sake of not ever admitting that maybe we got things wrong. And our nation building policies in Afghanistan, I think we got wrong, and we were involved in that type of activity when another platoon was ambushed, and my platoon was responding to go provide support, and unfortunately we drove over a roadside bomb that killed one of my soldiers and left 4 of us wounded. And that sort of was a major shift in my personal life and in my professional life.
You nearly lost your life as well on that day.
I did. I reached a point of, as I was burning there in the desert, and anyone who's seen pictures or me on video know that I was left with extensive disfiguring scars. But I gave up the will to live. I was waiting on death and wondering, what the next step in existence was like, and that's when somewhat miraculously my soldiers got to me, and the thing that took me from that place of having lost hope to regaining it was the words of one of my soldiers, and he said, "Sir, I've got you," and I could feel him smothering the flames off of my body. And I've carried that as a life lesson. And one of the things that I hope to do for Nevadans and for Americans is to understand the power of somebody saying, not only I've got you, but they're willing to put themselves at risk and in harm's way to help you. And that's what my soldiers did for me. And, I did survive, obviously. It was a long 3-year recovery, many surgeries, thousands of hours of therapy, but I'm left with scars from that, but that doesn't mean my life is over. And in some ways, I'm stronger for it. And I think that's where our country is at. We will be scarred by the times we're going through and by the poor decisions of people who've led us. There's no escaping that. There's no magic, pill that takes things back, removes the scars completely. But we can work through it, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be painful. But with right leadership, we can get through this, and we'll be stronger for it.
And I think it's a compelling part of your story. You talked about having no hope, but finding hope. And you talk about during this 3-year journey and this season of life you were going through, and you credit your faith in God for getting you through that difficult time.
That's right. That's been that experience was my coming to Jesus moment for me personally.
Literally.
And I'll tell you, this is really giving listeners kind of an inside peek into what makes me. But there was a verse in Romans, which was written by the Apostle Paul, and it really meant a lot to me in that time, and it continues to mean a lot to me this day. And it's Romans 5, chapter 5, verse 3. It starts, and it says, "Rejoice in your suffering, because suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character gives us hope." And it's sort of a backwards way of looking at things, to rejoice in our suffering. As Americans, we all too often just throw fits or give up or have some sort of negative response to that. But we're missing the beauty and the opportunity of seeing the hope that can come through building that endurance and having our character refined.
On the Patriot Mobile Newsmaker line, we are honored to have with us Sam Brown. He wants to be the next United States Senator from the state of Nevada. Sam, you are very concerned about the wokeness within the military. How concerned are you at this stage about military readiness?
Very, very concerned. In fact, I was talking to a friend earlier today. We have reports of entire Navy ships essentially having to come out of off of a tour, at least temporarily, due to COVID spikes, and we've got all sorts of additional trainings on critical race theories and other types of domestic terrorism and all this sort of stuff. These things all combined are really shifting a focus away from preparing warfighters to do what is really unthinkable, and Lord willing, our servicemen and women don't ever have to really get back into a highly engaged conflict where we're fighting with an enemy that's shooting at people and blowing stuff up. But we've got a military now that is, it's my perception, I think most Americans believe, is more concerned about political posturing and saying and doing the thing that their version of society would want them to say and do, and it takes away from that war fighter's mentality. And what good does it do us if our enemies know that all they need to do is wait for us to get into some sort of new political social cycle where we're sidelining our military for whatever issue to attack, and we're just not ready.
Well, it greatly concerns me because it's all being played out in front of the cameras, where you've got the CIA, you've got our military. They're more concerned about these getting people's pronouns right than they are about going out there and killing the bad guy and defending our country. That's a major concern because our enemies see that and they will take advantage of that.
Absolutely. Warfare has not changed that much over millenniums. And at the end of the day, we need war fighters who are prepared to shoulder an incredible, vicious burden of doing something to protect themselves and the men and women next to them, and ultimately to protect, our homeland. And wokeness, I don't think does us any benefit in being ready for that.
Sam, where can people go if they want to get information about your campaign, get involved? Where can they go?
Yeah, CaptainSamBrown.com is our website. on social media, where we have so many threats to being able to actually voice your true thoughts and opinions. All my handles are at Captain Sam Brown. And look, I just want to brag on the team that has come around me here. We've got the first U.S. Senate campaign in the state that is knocking doors statewide and making calls, and many, many volunteers coming into our offices. This is a grassroots campaign. We're funded by the grassroots. In fact, the Reno Gazette-Journal has said that we're the only Senate campaign powered by the grassroots. I'm really proud of the team we've got.
All right, Sam, we're going to have to leave it there. We'll get you back on the program. Good luck to you out on the campaign trail, and God bless you. Thank you for your service and your sacrifice to our great country.
Thank you, Todd.
All right, there you have it, folks. Sam Brown. You folks in Nevada have an opportunity to elect a war hero, a man who put it all on the line for his country and has suffered greatly, but he has persevered because of his faith in Christ. He has a great platform. He's very concerned about what the military is going through right now with this wokeness and critical race theory. And he's also very concerned about big tech and vows to take on big tech. And we need Republicans like that running for office. So we've got links to all of the captain's pages over on our live show blog, and I would encourage you to check that out. All right, we're going to take a break here.